Associate editor of Concealed Carry magazine, Beth Alcazar, is next. But first, do you ever wish cleaning your gun was easier? Well, clean, lube, and protect your guns with CO1. CO1 CLP Plus is natural, non-toxic, and environmentally friendly. Clean your guns easier and faster. You'll also smell better, too. Something the wives will appreciate. One and done with CO1. Ask for it by name at your local gun shop or get some on their website, CO1.com. That's seal, the number one, .com. All right, we've got Beth Alcazar on the line. Beth, are you there?
I am here.
How are you today?
I'm doing very well. How about you?
I'm not doing bad at all. I have absolutely no idea what we're going to talk about.
So that's
why
I'm going to talk to Beth.
How come it doesn't say Joe?
It does say that. But anyway, Beth, welcome to the show. It's outstanding to have you here. This is
I'm excited and honored. Thank you, guys.
Oh, it's more exciting for me since it's like talking to Mick Jagger here. Because
Mick Jagger?
Oh, yeah. Beth is the first gun writer that I came across when I got back into firearms and things like that. She was, and I think she's still... she was a blog writer for Concealed Carry. She's done much more since then. But that was her stuff was the first stuff I discovered, and it was really influential in starting our blog page on San Diego County Gun Owners blog page. It looks the way it looks mostly because of Beth's influence. So I was really happy to be able to talk to her here today.
Oh my gosh, that's just making me blush. I really am just so honored, and just what a cool thing to hear. I'm so glad that some little thing that I might have done could inspire or encourage someone like you to do what you're doing. So that's fantastic.
Yeah, well, that's why we do the things that we do here.
That's what I was just going to say. It's kind of people like you, Beth, is what motivates people to do what they do, and really. Without being, don't blush, but that's kind of your goal, right? To impact people.
Absolutely. I mean, and getting involved with the firearms industry, it's amazing how close-knit this group can be and how supportive they can be. And of course, it becomes, for a lot of us, more than just a job or a career. It becomes a mission. And it's so awesome to be part of that mission with so many great 2A advocates out there, like guys like you doing what you're doing every week, too. That's fantastic.
So, Beth, I want to start because you're like me. You've done a million different things here. So when did you start writing? Because I know you're a trainer. You do a bunch of other things, too. But let's start with the writing part. So how did you get into that?
Yeah, well, I guess I've been writing for a long time, really. When I got involved with the shooting, hunting, outdoor industry about 20-something years ago, I actually decided that I wanted to kind of get a mentor in the business that was doing writing and maybe magazine work and things like that. That was kind of a goal of mine. So I did find a prolific writer that was in this industry, and it wasn't the industry per se that attracted me. I just wanted the experience, the real world boots on the ground experience. So that's when I started a lot of ghostwriting and interviewing a lot of people in the industry and kind of almost living vicariously through different people. I wrote a lot for like Realtree and Mossy Oak on their blogs. And that's kind of where it started, just getting my feet wet and getting little interviews with really awesome people. But the more I learned about the industry, the more I loved it and really enjoyed it. And I guess it just kind of branched out from there into articles. And when I finally got in touch with Kevin Michalowski of Concealed Carry magazine, he had been wanting me to write for the magazine for a while. And I thought, Kevin, I'm just a mom with a gun. I mean, I don't know that that's very interesting or anyone would care about what I had to say. And he said, Beth, that's exactly why we want you to write for us. So that's kind of where it just snowballed. And every idea I took to the USCCA, they were excited about, and they kind of let me have a little free reign and start a blog. And it continues to this day. It's just grown with many more contributors and other voices that are part of the USCCA website's blog nowadays. But I guess that's kind of how it sparked and how it grew into a wildfire and how I ended up being a solid and dedicated participant in the 2A industry.
So, and you started, when I first came across your stuff, I think you were probably writing a couple of articles a week on the blog, because I used to look forward to, okay, there's a new one. There should be a new one there. Wasn't one yesterday. And so then you transitioned to the magazine, to the USCCA Concealed Carry magazine after that, right?
That's correct. I basically pursued the USCCA relentlessly until they hired me. And my title, even though it's basically an editor for the magazine, luckily I get to do so much more than that with the company, and that's where the training side comes in. So I kind of have a foot in what we call the content side, which is our videos, our magazine, our books, but I also have a foot pretty solid in the training side, which is more based on curriculum and the different courses and classes that we're developing and offering.
Okay, because the material stuff too is really good. Because I remember there were several articles I think that you did that inspired me to do different articles as well. And I know there was one in particular when you were talking about something that happened with at the school where one of your children was. It was like a career day thing or something came up, and the idea that you were a gun writer and you couldn't say that or something like that happened.
Yes. Oh my gosh. It's so amazing how many people that has reached and how many people remember that. But when my son was, I guess it was the 3rd or 4th grade, they had career day at his school. And of course, a flyer went out inviting everybody. And it basically said careers of all kinds. We welcome everyone to come share with our kids. And I filled it out. I filled out the form and sent it in. And I was basically told, well, we don't want you influencing our children, so you can come, but you can't talk about the industry in which you work. And that was really disheartening. But, the good thing, my daughter, this year, actually, they had the same career week, and I filled out the form, and I was invited. And this time I did get to share everything that I wanted to about firearms and safety and about, working with children to make sure they have a correct mindset and that they're responsible and respectful around guns. So that was quite a difference from just a few years ago.
Well, that's great progress, especially in view of today's current environment of things that are going on out there. But
Beth, where are you based at?
I'm in Central Alabama. And so it's a pretty gun-friendly state, but, there's
well, I wanted to kind of preface that because, most likely if you were in California, that invitation probably wouldn't have happened.
Well, you were in the same place, though, right, when that happened with your son. Were you in the same area?
Same area, same school, a lot of the same people, too, as far as the principals, school counselors, et cetera. So I'm not sure what the difference was. I'm not sure if it just kind of slipped in or got unnoticed or I don't know.
Well, I'm sure there's been a lot of terrible school incidents, and, now people, whether they want to agree with it or not, really need to look and listen to what you have to say.
Absolutely. And, what made this even more special for me is that the middle school where my son is now, when my daughter was actually young enough to attend that school, we actually had an incident here that did not make national news. But we had an armed gunman come into the school and take 5 of the girls hostage in the gym. And luckily, we had an armed resource officer. And a good guy with a gun stopped a bad guy with a gun. And that's exactly the kind of messaging we want to continue. And also, of course, support that with safety and all the other things that people need to know, especially if they choose the concealed carry lifestyle, whether they're teachers, parents, or otherwise.
And CNN wasn't all over that story.
I'm
what a
totally
shock!
Shocked that no one jumped on that.
Amazing, right?
If did they at least write it up locally? When did this happen in the last couple of years?
This was in February of 2013, and while it did get some local attention, it was very little local attention. In fact, I will share that story even when I'm teaching classes here, just 15 miles down the road, and most of the people, when I mention it, have no idea what I'm talking about.
That is one of the things you've already touched on. 2 of the major problems. One is, of course, that it's just okay to be biased against us. Well, no, you can't come talk to kids. You're a heathen or whatever, right? That's one. And then the other one is, it's hard for the news to report when something doesn't happen. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like now that's as close to something happening as it gets. But usually the reason guns are an advantage is because they make sure that bad things don't happen, and that's a tough news story to write. So,
yeah, absolutely. But we're certainly grateful for that resource officer that was there, and I've been grateful to a community that's mostly been very welcoming to teaching and training and different classes that I host. And, it's kind of my mission to not just teach people across the nation, but it's fantastic when I have the opportunities to reach people in my own community. These could be the folks that I'm, going to the grocery store with, or that are teaching my own children. So it's really an awesome feeling to have even some of my neighbors or fellow classmates or teachers show up at these firearm safety classes and, take this into their own hands and take some responsibility for their own safety. It's kind of a cool feeling.
Well, and that's what's nice about the writing and the teach. That's why I enjoy doing all this stuff too, because you never know who you're going to touch and what information's going to get out there and what somebody's going to do with it. And that's a really rewarding part. When we come back after the break, Beth, I want to ask you about how you and your husband talk to the kids about these incidents in schools and things like that.
Yeah.
A lot of companies are frustrated with their websites. Yeah, it looks old, it's out of date, it's not getting customers. Well, hey, have I got an answer for you? Sage Tree, they get it. Since 2005, Sage Tree has been helping companies with websites that look great, work great, and get leads. You can stop being frustrated by your website and get one that you're going to be proud to share. Contact Sage Tree today to get a website that makes the phones ring. Getting started is easy. Call 866-728-9100. That's 866-728-9100. And they will fix your website today. All right, back to Beth.
I think we're getting requests, Beth. That you got to tell the end of the story from the school. So what actually happened? What are the details?
Well, the details were that the gunman or the armed intruder he used to work at the school, so they recognized him, and that's how he gained entry into the building. And it's still unknown to me. I do not know what his reasons were, but that resource officer within 15 or 20 minutes was able to defuse the whole situation, and nobody was harmed. And this was happening right around school buses getting let out and heading home and everything. So you can imagine that social media was just exploding with all sorts of things that were just heart-wrenching and scary. And we are just all so grateful for that officer that was there. And unfortunately, I don't know any more details than that, except, like I said, the man used to work there. They recognized him. They let him in. And thank goodness things didn't turn out in any other different way, because that would have been a very scary and tragic thing.
So the officer did not shoot this gentleman?
Not that I am aware of. I think he was able to basically talk him through the situation. But, obviously the armed intruder saw this man, a police officer, with a gun, and probably made some assumptions that, this guy means business, he's trained, and he has the means to stop me. So that's just an assumption. I don't know all the details, and I've never seen those details released.
But it's a good reason why soft targets should not ever be soft targets.
Exactly. Because, again, I don't know what that man's intent was. He had the means to hurt people, and he didn't, because, thank God, somebody with the means to protect our children was there and trained and ready to take action.
Well, at least people are listening to you, because we got all kinds of requests to hear the rest of the story.
Well, great.
There you go. Just touching more folks.
Yes, indeed.
So, hey, Beth, I wanted to ask you, before the break I started to ask, and, both you and your husband are firearms instructors, correct?
That's correct.
And you still have school-age children. And I was wondering, have you guys had the conversation with your kids, regarding some of the school shootings and things that are going on? And what did that look like if you guys talked to them?
Yes, absolutely. And often we've had discussions with our children about guns, about safety, about training, and about the possibility of, bad people with evil intentions doing terrible things. My youngest is a little too young to get into any details. She would probably get a little frightened, but we always encourage her and support her and tell her, there are adults and parents and trained people who, our job is to keep you safe, and you just have to, use good observational skills and be aware of what's happening around you, and, make sure that you do what you need to under any kind of emergency situations or drills. However, my son, he's in middle school now, and we've definitely had conversations with him about how frightening it is that schools have been targeted. And, he has told me often the kinds of drills or training that they do in the school. And he's expressed a lot of frustration at times that, at least in the past, especially, they were doing basically, lock the doors, turn off the lights, and go hide in the corner. And from the training that I've been through and from the experiences I've had, I think also just from common sense, I think a lot of us would think, that's kind of frightening. And, it probably is not the best plan, especially for those schools that do have the ALICE program, which our schools in Alabama are supposed to follow. So he and I have had a little bit deeper conversation. If there is ever opportunity to escape, I want him to take that opportunity. And, I also want him to make good decisions and think, and make sure that he's not doing anything rash under these kinds of circumstances. So the only thing you can do to help is talk them through it and try to best answer their questions and prepare them. And, I am one of those parents that I train my kids how to use tourniquets when they can, and I send them to school with a bullet-resistant plate in their backpack. That's something they carry with them a lot, and they probably either have at their desk or on their body. And, I'm willing to take those extra steps if they potentially make any difference at all. But it's really about mindset, ultimately. And I don't want to scare my children. I just want to give them better opportunities to be prepared.
Excellent. Great points.
Absolutely.
Do you shoot with your son, or does your son shoot?
Yes, and the cutest thing about him, my husband got him, the Red Ryder BB gun for Christmas. I mean, set it up just like in the movies, where it was hidden in a little spot and it was the last gift. Mm-hmm. And I swear that this cute little boy looked up at us and he goes, "But guns are for big people," because we had trained him so much about, guns are for adults, and if you find one, don't touch it, and make sure adults are with you, and blah, blah, blah. And he was very timid at first, and he didn't seem really ready or committed to practicing with an actual firearm. He knew all the rules, and he could say them backwards and forwards, but he just was a little anxious. But now fast forward to today, he wants to join the local youth shooting club, and he goes with us to IDPA matches and Steel Challenge, and he is really better with like a semi-automatic handgun than most adults that I know. So,
wow.
So awesome to see him grow and develop.
So did you have to cut the stock off so the BB gun would fit?
Luckily, this kid gets some good genes from my side of the family. He's super tall for his age, and luckily he's fit into a lot of these different guns better than most his age. So,
because my dad had to cut the stock off so my little skimpy little butt would fit and I could shoot something with it. How old is your son?
He is now 12.
Well, we got Action Jackson here, who's 9 and shoots a Glock once a week.
Yeah, he's actually got a question for you too.
Yeah.
Okay.
What's your favorite gun?
Good
question.
My
goodness.
Good question.
Oh my gosh. I love the AR-15 that Steel City Arsenal built for me because it's very lightweight and it has a cool Borderlands theme, and I love to use it in competition. But I still absolutely love the very first carry gun I picked out for myself, and I still carry my XDS 9mm. I know it's not like super fancy and amazing, but I think it's more for just nostalgia and just because it was such a milestone that it stands out as still one of my absolute favorite guns.
It's kind of like owning your first car,
Right? You never forget.
It may not be the best car, but it's your first car.
Yes. Yes, and there were so many good things that went along with the research and purchase of that firearm. So for me, it's a feel-good moment every time I think about that firearm, and I use it in competition too. So it's not just my backup gun. It's been put to a lot of rounds downrange. So
if you want to have fun, ask Joe what's his favorite gun, and
Joe, what's your favorite gun?
He won't be able to answer.
Depends on the week, right, Joe?
It does. You can't have a favorite gun.
Ah,
No,
it's like having a favorite kid.
It's a tough question. Tough question.
So what is it? What would you have to, if you had to nail it down right now, Joe?
Click.
I can't do
Look at
that.
this
I mean,
guy.
it's the one
Jeez.
I carry all the time, the one I shoot all the time.
They're not listening. They're not
The
gonna
one
get,
you just
they're not going
bought
to get jealous
all the time.
I just found my John Wayne Rooster shooter though, my single action
There you go.
Army.
You got it?
Yeah, I did finally.
Have you fired it?
No, not yet, but this week.
All right.
Well, Beth, thank you so much for coming on here.
Great
What
interview.
a great interview. We're going to have you back, though, because there's a bunch of other things I didn't get to ask you here yet. So
Oh my
if
gosh.
people want to
I would
find
love
you.
to. I would love to.
No, wait, hey, if people want to discover you, where's a
Right.
good place?
How do they follow you around?
Of course, they can go to the USCCA's website. So go to uscca.com or usconcealedcarry.com. And if you're on social media, feel free to pop on to Pacifiers and Peacemakers with Beth Alcazar. I try to keep up with a lot of my events and training and other random thoughts that pop into my head.
Pacifiers. I like that. All right, kid. Thank you very much. Have a great evening.
Y'all as well. Keep doing all this awesome work.
Thanks for watching this clip from Gun Owners Radio. You can watch us live every Sunday from 4 to 6 p.m. California time, right here on our YouTube channel, or if you're in the San Diego area, you can listen to us on 1170 a.m. We're also available on your favorite podcast platform for free. Don't forget to like and subscribe so that you can help restore and protect the Second Amendment, not just in California, but across the country.